Hey everybody, how's it going? And welcome back to Copper Jacket TV. Today we're going to be talking about something that I just absolutely do not like. And hopefully after this video it'll save you a little bit of money if this is something that you were considering. If you already have one, you might know what I'm talking about, or you might have a totally different opinion altogether. But today we're going to be talking about the good, the mostly bad, and the ugly of the Sig Romeo Zero. Now, before we get started, I just want to give a quick shout out to this channel's sponsor, which is the USCCA. USCCA is probably one of the most important memberships that you could ever have in your wallet. With your membership, you get self-defense liability insurance. You also get online education and training. They have Concealed Carry Magazine, which is phenomenal, and a lot of great resources, including a CCW reciprocity map. So check the link down below for USCCA. Okay, so let's go and talk a little bit about the Romeo Zero. So the Romeo Zero is a small, lightweight polymer construction, polymer lens reflex sight with a 6 MOA dot. It also has the RMSC footprint, meaning that it'll fit on most subcompacts these days. While there's no standardized footprint for slides, it seems like the RMSC is going to be the most popular when it comes to those subcompacts. So people like it because of its versatility. It'll fit on a bunch of different things. But again, there's a lot of things that I do not like about this. And even for that $200 price point, I just myself would steer away from it. So let's talk about the good first, and then we'll get into the other stuff. Okay, so the good. The first good thing is it's extremely lightweight. This thing weighs about as much as a fingernail shaving. I mean, you can't even feel it in your hand. It is so light. So I just want to weigh it real quick with and without the battery just to get an accurate weight reading here. And it comes in at 0.3 ounces. Okay, so about 1/3 of an ounce is what this thing weighs. Now, if we add the battery to it, it is exactly 1/2 of an ounce. So 1/2 of an ounce is incredibly light, which is perfect. If you're somebody who plans on using this for carry, then you're not even going to notice that it's there. It's so lightweight that it pretty much just disappears. Now, the other nice thing about this is it also has a rear sight. So it has this rear sight on it that allows you to co-witness with the front sight, which is good because on some slides these days, if you take off that cap for the RMSC cut, right, so you get that cut, take the cap off, a lot of times, even with the 365 XL, that rear sight's going to come with it. So you end up with basically no rear sights and no way to co-witness if the dot goes down. And so the fact that we actually do have a rear sight there is a nice touch. It means I can co-witness if something does happen to happen and it stops working. The battery life is also pretty good. I think you're looking at about 2 years of real world use, which is phenomenal. Now, that's pretty much where the good stuff ends. I mean, that stuff is pretty good, but once we get to the bad and the ugly, I think you might change your mind. So let's go ahead and talk about the bad. Now, I should mention this was sent to the channel by Optics Planet. Optics Planet sent this over for me to be able to test out and review, and I appreciate that. If you guys want more information, all you have to do is head over to my website, and I'll have more info over there. Now, let's get on to the bad. So the first thing I want to say is that this right here is the least easy to use optic that I have probably ever seen. What do I mean by that? Well, this is a manually adjusting optic, which means you have to push a button in order to get the brightness levels to go up or down. No big deal. Pretty much every other optic out there has that, unless it's, you know, one of those few good auto adjustings that's out there like a RMR or something like that. However, they put the button in such an awkward place that I almost can't fathom why somebody would even come up with that idea and let alone implement it. The button to adjust your brightness is located underneath this protective housing right here, way up towards the glass, meaning that I have to take my finger and put my finger inside the housing of the glass to find that little itty bitty button that they have in there, which is, I mean, extremely small. It's probably an 1/8 of the size of a pencil eraser head. So it's a very small button that's located in there. And so when you press that, it goes up in brightness and then it comes back down and goes up. It's just one single button. There's not 2 buttons in order to adjust the brightness. And that's kind of important, especially if you're talking about something for carry, because if you're going from the outside where it's nice and bright to the inside with, let's say, like an RMR or a Swamp Fox Optic Sentinel manual or something like that, I can simply feel the buttons, go down 3 clicks when I walk inside, go up 3 clicks when I walk outside, and so forth. With this, you kind of don't know where you are. With no up and down button, there's no way to determine where you are. And the fact that it's extremely hard to reach means I'm going to have physical access so that I can view the button with my eye and find it with my finger, because it's really not all that tactile, so I can't feel it very much when I put my finger in there. I mean, if you have fingers that have actually done work for a living, you know, they get a little bit leathery after time, and so it's kind of hard to feel that button. I just do not understand why they put that button there. The other thing is, it's plastic. I mean, what can I say? It's plastic. And to me, plastic is just not as durable as aluminum, no matter how you put it. The lens is also plastic. Now, to me, this is kind of an ugly, but the lens also scratches very easily. So you have a plastic outer shell, you have a polycarbonate lens. Now, when you think about polycarbonate, you know, if you wear glasses, polycarbonate is what they use for plastic glasses lens. And so you do end up with a nice clear image, and you can see the dot and everything looks crisp and stuff. But the problem with polycarbonate is that it scratches fairly easy. Even with a silicone coating over the polycarbonate, this thing right here is not scratch proof. In my opinion, I don't think it's very scratch resistant at all. And the fact that they have that button back there with that poly lens means you're just going to fingerprint it every single time you want to change the brightness on it. If you put your finger in there and you go just a hair too far, you're going to put the tip of your finger on the back of that glass, and you're going to have a smudge right where that dot should be. Again, I just don't get it. So there's a couple problems. We have the problem with the adjustability of the button. We have the problem with the position of the button to adjust it. We have the problem with the fact that it's too close to the lens and you're going to smudge it just about every time. And the fact that this polycarbonate lens scratches fairly easy. And you can find reports all online. You can find all sorts of reports here on YouTube of the same exact problem, pretty much just easy scratching. And then with the, you know, polycarbonate lens and the plastic outer housing, it's just not as durable as some other options that are out there. And if I'm looking for something for defensive purposes, I just don't want it to fail on me. I just want that confidence. I just don't have confidence when this thing is on there. So it didn't spend too much time on there, maybe 200 rounds worth of time on there just to kind of test it out, see how it worked, and, you know, make sure it didn't flicker or have any problems. After that, it came right off. Okay, so now on to the ugly, and it's pretty ugly because this thing no longer works. It just does not work, and I have done everything possible to try and get it to work, but it no longer works. And that's why I can't even show you guys what the red dot looks like or how clear it was or anything like that. It was a very nice red dot. The red dot looked good. It was very clear. It was nice and bright and so forth, but I can't get it to work at all. So I had it on the slide, took it out to test it, worked just fine while it was on the slide. Everything was great, hunky-dory. Got back, I switched that out for another dot so I could do some other testing with that. And then today, my original plan was to do a comparison between the Romeo Zero, the Polymer Crimson Trace, and the Swamp Fox Optic Sentinel. While these two still work, this one didn't. I've switched out the battery, I've played with the button a bunch of times, I remounted it to make sure that, you know, that wasn't causing an issue. I did everything that you could probably think of without, you know, completely removing it, everything, and destroying it and taking it apart. I tried to get it to work and it just doesn't work. I don't know what the problem is, but I cannot get the dot to turn on. It was a brand new battery. This battery right here was working fine when I took it off, but, you know, just given that, well, not this one, the one that was originally on it worked fine. This is the brand new one that I tried getting the dot to work with. Either way, two batteries, didn't work. The optic just stopped working. So, you know, it's really tough. And, you know, I'm a fan of Sig optics. I think Sig optics are great. They're affordable. They work really well. I've given them lots of praise. You know, like I've said in the past, I do like Sig optics, but this one right here to me is just a total fail. I understand what they were trying to do. They're trying to make a small, compact, affordable, you know, dot that everybody could get into, but it's bad. It's got terrible design flaws, and mine stopped working. So that's the ugly. Now, I'm sure I made a lot of people mad out there by making this review. There's some people out there that just get so invested in something that they refuse to see any potential flaws or any potential problems, and they'll look past it and they'll defend it at all cost. I mean, well, there's people out there who would just get mad if you say the sky's blue, but especially when it comes to products and brands, people get so stuck on things that they don't want to hear anything negative because, you know, it just bothers them, it offends them. And so, you know, even though this is something that I got for free, even though this is something that is sent to the channel, I think that honesty is extremely important. And if you have a different opinion, and if you maybe have a different experience, I totally get that, and I believe that. But this was my experience, so this is the experience that I have to share with you. It is just, it's not been not been positive. So anyway, the Romeo Zero, thumbs down for me. You guys have a great day.